Howdy peeps, and welcome to a bit of a random video. I've seen a few guys lately doing cave or bench saws and showing what they got and what they use, so thought I'd do something a bit similar just to, just to share things around a bit so people know what I'm using. Well, how can I put it, as anyone that really kind of knows me, or is actually, put that a bit straight, it might help. Yeah, camera's on the wonk. But as anyone who knows me, or has seen my cave, or yes, I do work in a mess. It's a case of always have done, always will do. It's just the way I am. I'm far happier with all my tools strewn across the bench, paint everywhere. I can still find everything, do everything I want to do. If I tidy up, then I start losing things. Now, for example, I know if I put my hand there, here's my sprue cutters. Grab there, there's my size 0 brush. It's like that. It's if I put them away, it takes me a lot longer to find them. So yeah, my bench, my cave, my rules. I'm a scruffy irk, so that's that. Anyway, as for tools I use, well, general basics, start off with that. We shall move that out of the way so we can see what we're looking at. And apologies, yes, I forgot to change to the nice clean shiny cutting mat that Mary bought me. Anyway, taking parts off sprues. Tamiya sprue cutters, I've got those. Then I got those. These are smaller, sharper, because of the jaw shape. You can get right up next to the part, and really good. I think they're the 723s, something like that. They got the part number? No, it's worn off. These are the cheaper ones. I've kept them around because they still do the job. They're still good at clipping sprue, but I tend to use them for the heavier duty bits now, where I'm actually chopping the main sprue itself rather than just the sprue gates. For really delicate fiddly parts and clear parts, I use, which you're probably not going to be able to see at that range, get it real close, you might see the teeth, get it in shot. It's one of the Tamiya photo etch razor saws, so it's a 0.1mm blade. Oh yeah, it's tiny. Very flexible, bends easily, but if you've got really delicate piping on a sprue, for engine plumbing or grab rails, and the plastic's a bit iffy, a bit brittle, tends to snap. And the same thing goes with clear plastic. You saw through it and you don't put any extra stress on, and don't break the parts. So that's for getting the parts off the sprue. Cleaning them up, just a few of the things I use. We have just a random selection of UMP. So I'm going to turn a couple up the right way around and show off the branding. There we go. Get another little spineless plug and advert in there. I've got the new buffers, so they don't have the branding on them at the moment. Again, huge amount of grits and grades and types. I've got all of them, and these are generally the main ones I use. This one we call the chainsaw, just because of the sheer amount of plastic it removes in such a short time. The buffer and polisher, always good to have. The thinny sponge, you'll never run out of uses for those. Awesome pieces of kit. On this one's pretty much had it now, it's virtually smooth, but to me that makes it almost more useful for things like cleaning up small seams on barrels or bombs or anything round, because it doesn't take too much off, it doesn't scratch it, it just does a decent job. Then we've got the old black thinny sticks, which I think were the 240 grit, and the new ones, which I think this is a 400. Yeah, there's also a 600. And my new favourite larger sander is the new thin sponge sanders with the 400 and 600. I think that's right. Anyway, generally those. Sometimes you can't even get a thinny stick in there. And in those cases, in certain things, I still use the old-fashioned needle file. Oh, excuse me. I've had these for donkey's years. If you didn't know, I used to do radio control stuff, and they come in useful then as well. But for really tiny gaps, as you can see, this here thinny stick has been chopped off short as it's worn down. But what I did is the first sort of inch of it I chopped off. I then chopped it in half, cut out all the padding, and super glued a teeny little bit onto a cocktail stick. And I originally did that to sand Jessica Rabbit's cleavage, but it's come in very useful since and is always on my bench. So that's cleaning the parts up. When it comes to holding parts, if the older Mark 1 paws aren't up to the job, we need, and the parts are small, tweezers. Again, you can get the cheaper varieties, a couple of quid or £5 or whatever for a pack of half a dozen of them, with varying uses. Or you can get a higher quality one. I mean, these, I say higher quality, down to my fault, these have pretty much had it now. I've bent the tips on them. As you can see, they're chunkier, they're just better. I hear the best ones are the Tamiya, and I'll probably go for some of the Tamiya high grades next. These just came from Hobbycraft. And if you've got bits you can hold, they're small enough to get into the pliers and hold, so you can just sand, like a grab handle, a tank grab handle or something like that. You can just grip in there, run the sanding stick over and get the nub, sprue gate, whatever, mess off. So that's the parts. Glues. Now I use a variety of glues. Excuse I. Go to 90% of the time Tamiya extra thin. Does exactly what you want. For larger, flatter parts, Tamiya white. This is thicker, gunkier. You splat two big bits together, grip it nicely. And then I usually run around the edges with the extra thin. And I also have some of the extra thin quick dry. I'm bashing the camera again. That's not it, however. I also, for if you've seen my tracks video, use the Revel contactor for tracks. I'll leave that there. And then good old fashioned super glue, just whichever variety I happen to get. If I buy enough from my local model shop, he normally chucks in a pot of glue of some description, so that usually helps. Then again, once you've got them glued together, back to the sanders if you need to sort that out. Other things I use, knife. Tend to use my Swan Morton. I like the straight blades. It's just me, the way I am. And the ones with the blade that comes along there is, you know, you pick it up that way and you just flick it over in hand, don't you? Yeah. That's why I've got scars on my finger. Flick it over and the blade just bounces into your skin. Lovely. Holding parts for painting. Cocktail sticks and blue tack, job done. If you can't get the blue tack on there, dab a super glue on the end of a cut off cocktail stick. So chop it off, sand the end flat, dab a super glue, stick it at the back end of your missile. It's just going through the random bits I've got kicking around on the bench here. Pin vise. Drill. Yes, I went and bought the Citadel You can see it's been used recently, it's covered in dust. But yeah, it's nice solid pin vise, does the job. Notice a pin vise, it holds a drill bit and it spins. It's just a bit poncier. And part of my random collection of all sorts of different size drill bits. I'll try not to chuck them all over the place. I mean, I think some of these go down to like 0.4 millimeters. Yeah, they're not very strong, so you have to be very careful with them, but you know, when you've got to drill a really small hole, you need a really small drill. And I've cut my fingernails so I can't pick anything up again. Tweezers, there we go. When it comes down to filling, I use either homemade hodgepodge of sprue goo. It's just Tamiya extra thin with, I think this has got dragon sprue melted down in it. In my other random drawer, Squadron Green, Vallejo, plastic putty. Both got their upsides, their downsides, but no, it's pick and choose which jobs you use them for, really. You don't use the same tool for every job. I'll remember to get that out because I'll show that in a bit. Photo etch. What do I use to bend photo etch? Well, either these pliers again, because if I bring them up you can see smooth jawed, so they don't put any crinkle effects in your photo etch. And I've got a 90-degree end on the tip as well. So if you've got a little bit and you just want to put a 90-degree bend in it, or it's got one bend, you just job done. Anything a bit more complicated, which not much is really on tanks, I have the little Master Tools bender. Does the job. So I tend not to do anything too large with etch, so I didn't really want to grab the bigger one. Other random tools. Steel ruler. Damn useful. Fiberglass pen. Again useful for all sorts of random stuff, cleaning up photo etch, burnishing paint, chipping, all sorts of different things you can do with that. Another pair of tweezers, squeezers, or reverse action tweezers, just with a bit of sponge held in the end so you can dab it in some paint, knock the excess off, and a bit of chipping on your model. Speaking of working with paints, you won't go wrong with Tamiya masking tape. You can buy washi tape as well, otherwise known as not bukkake, kabuki. That's it. It's a washi tape. It does the same thing. It just hasn't got quite as strong an edge as the Tamiya. And I also use, I've got the Tamiya tape curves, some random, and the Izu tapes from UMP again. Something I worked out, if you are dexterous and careful enough, you can cut a small slot, although you probably can't see it actually in the side where the tape, of the blister where the tape is, and then you can pull the tape out and use it as its own dispenser. Saves the tape getting manky. There's all sorts of sizes of that. Tape all over the place. And other kind of random tools I use. And along the brushes line, yes, we've got our normal, these are a bit Larry. I've got some Winsor & Newtons and some Abteilungs kicking about. Majority of the work I just use those unless I'm doing something properly delicate or fiddly, in which case I'll break out the smaller sizes like the 5 zeros and 10 zeros. But again, unless you're really doing figure painting, you don't need super quality brushes. Oh, excuse me. For some reason there's a coffin nail sat on my bench. Probably reminded me to do, oh, excuse me, to do something. Try not to burp on camera sharp. Clay shapers. Again, as I discussed in my track video, come in very useful on occasion, as do sculpting tools on those occasions when you really got to use a lot of filler. FXJU88, I'm looking at you there. When it comes to clamping, softy rubber gripped clothes pegs I picked up from Poundland do the job. Poundland also do packs of makeup brushes, and one of them is a fan brush, which I find very useful when I'm blending oils and just trying to spread things about and streak them about a little. Either go lengthways or widthways or whatever. Oh, what else have we got? Another Poundland jobby. Makeup applicators, or eyeshadow applicators I should say. Don't nick them off your missus, because she'll only go up the wall. Just get yourself a set from Poundland, or if you're embarrassed about having to hand in your man card, just get your missus to get them for you anyway. As I say, £1, great for applying pigments, pastels, chalks, anything like that. Do the trick. Oh god, I've got so many tools kicking about all over the place, it's unreal. Paint wise, I just use whatever I have to hand. I've got plenty of Vallejo, Model Air, Model Colour, Game Air, Tamiya, Citadel, Mr. Hobby, Life Colour, AK Extremes, Alclads, all sorts of random craft paints. But yeah, I just use whatever happens to be the best choice for the situation I'm in. But when it comes to primers, oh, headbutting the camera now. Well, the light attached to it. You can't go wrong, especially if you're priming with acrylic. Excuse me again. If you're priming with lacquers, then yeah, fair enough. But if you want to prime with acrylic, you won't go wrong with the Ultimate Primer, which is the rebranded Badger Steinel Res, and the AK One Shot, I believe, is also rebranded Steinel Res. Go on, lovely, self-level, sandable. No, they do. Just got to be a little bit careful when you're spraying the white. The black and the grey you can puddle on, but you got to build that up in thinner layers. Otherwise it goes a bit weird. Ugh. Washes wise, oh, there I am headbutting the camera again. You'd think I'd realise where it was by now, wouldn't you? Washes wise, I use the Ultimate washes, the clay ones. I use MIG, I use AK, Citadel. Again, whatever happens to be the colour I need for whatever I'm trying to do. For example, on the T90 I use the AK DAC wash. I know, shock, horror, it's not a DAC vehicle, but I used the DAC wash on it. Oh my god, the world will end. The right bloody colour it'll do. Just because it says something on the bottle, it doesn't mean that's all you can use it for. You can even mix them. Yeah? Well, not the different. You can't really mix an enamel and a clay because you're probably going to end up with some weird nastiness. I might try that later just for an experiment. But yeah, you can mix all the various enamel ones because they're all basically the same. All the ultimate clay. Struggling with my throat today. All the ultimate clay washes, you can mix and match them to make whatever shade you want. I don't know if it will show up, but on this Centurion I mixed up the earth and the rust to make a reddy brown. It's supposed to be kind of a Vietnamese thing, and I'm working on the assumption that the pot of Vietnam earth pigment I've got, which is fairly red, being, you know, close. Other oddments. Paint palette. Very useful, obviously. If you're mixing or using large quantities. If I'm using like a drop or two, single-sided razor blade. Just be careful when you pick them up and chuck them down that you don't slice your fingers. Graham. So I was watching Graham's review, Black 73 cat. Top review, by the way, dude, of the Meng leopard, and he managed to stab himself with his knife. If you're going to be getting into figure painting more, then I would recommend either making or purchasing one. I'm lazy, so I bought one. A wet palette. Obviously this one's not wet at the moment, it's kind of dried out, but it'll keep your paints ready to go for days or weeks even sometimes. It just has a reservoir of water and an absorbent piece of paper in there, or sponge, and baking parchment on the top, so that stays moist. The paint goes on it, the paint doesn't dry, you can do all your mixing and everything. Top quality usefulness if you're a figure painter. Other random things. Badger paint stirrer. Hallelujah. Reviver of dead paints the world over. It's basically a miniature coffee stirrer, but you know, you got that pot of paint, you've been stood there shaking it for about 10 minutes and there's still a big clod at the bottom. Yeah, just does it in seconds. Another thing well worthwhile having on the bench, again, a couple of quid, because out of what we're doing we don't need high quality or high torque or anything. Just jeweler's screwdriver bits. That one's magnetic. That one I generally use if I'm doing rubber band tracks. Heat it up with the lighter. I just use it to melt the pins over. Job done. A soldering iron. If you're doing a lot of etch, and I will be doing a how I do video on that at some point. Sometimes things made out of etch, like toolboxes and whatever, it's a better idea to solder them than try and glue them, providing you can get the solder fairly accurate. And for that, yeah, I've got a, I'm not going to reach down and grab it, it's just a, and it's a heat adjustable blah blah blah, but you just need a bog standard electric soldering iron. You don't need anything super expensive. No, a little 15 watt Weller or the equivalent will do the job perfectly well. And if you want to cheat and make life really easy, and oh yes, all the writing is in Chinese or Japanese or whatever, this stuff is just solder paste. So you literally just spread it on with a brush or a cocktail stick, heat it up, it melts, it makes a joint, job done. Means you don't need 3 hands. One to hold the iron, one to hold the solder, and one to hold the work. When you are soldering though, don't do it on your cutting mat. It melts, trust me. Little block of balsa wood. Also doubles as a sanding block for when you've got a big piece of resin, you want to sand off the plug. You've sawn most of it off, but yeah, you want to sand the rest flat. That with a bit of sandpaper wrapped around it does the job. Oh, I've also got things like oh, I'm going to stretch behind me now to grab stuff. This is going to be fun. If you hear a loud bang, it's because everything's fallen off the shelf. Might seem a bit silly. Kiddie's geometry set, you know, the kind of ones you get for school or whatever. You got your right angles, your protractors, compass, even just a pencil sharpener and a rubber come in useful. Rubber eraser. No crude comments, Ivan. if you're watching. Doubt it, you've probably got better things to do. A small pot of beeswax for the threads on the airbrush. May not seem like much, but a little bit of that on there. A, it stops the threads jamming if you get paint in them, and B, just helps seal everything up nicely. What else we got? I've got a set of digital calipers somewhere. I can't remember where. I think they're on that shelf down there somewhere. But yeah, digital calipers, accurate measuring tools, toothbrush, dry white marker for checking seams, dodgy handle but bigger saw for chopping larger things, and that will get used on the Fairy Barracuda when I chop the nose and tail off. Intermediate size razor saw for, again, when I need to use it. There we go. Set of water pens. Yes, Paul, I'm covering it as well. Marked 1, 2 and 3, because that's the order I use them in. They're watercolour artists' pens. They use them to hold water, so they can blend and do everything. I'll pop the tip off. Just basically it's a brush with a water reservoir. But it wasn't Paul that discovered it or figured it out. He found it out from someone, but he's the one who spread it. And use those for decals. So number 1 would have the, is it micro set, whichever the blue micro one is. Number 2's got the micro sol. Number 3 has got the Walters Solver set in it. So you gradually go up the strengths of decal solution until it actually sucks itself down. Oh god, I've got bits all over the place here. Oh, where can I go from here? Obviously, you know, cocktail sticks, cotton wool buds. Other useful things, the wax pencils, PE pickup pencils. It's basically it's a soft wax rather than lead, and allows you to pick up small things, dot them on the model. Absolute godsend when you're building a trumpeter T90. When you've got 90 odd sort of 2mm round PE parts to stick on the turret. Yeah, that makes it take about, I don't know, third quarter of the time. And yeah, I've got other random tools, other knives, things that I just have or acquired over the years. Not just of building scale models, but building radio control models, so dynos, comm lathes, all sorts of random toolage kicking about here. Do you guys actually want to see around my cave? Really? You want to really? You sure? On your head be it. Oh god, let's try and get this camera off the mount without giving everyone motion sickness. There we go, right. Crotch shot, no. So, starting on the left is all my cleaners, thinners, primers, brush and spare sander tubs, glues, random bits. How'd I forget about that? Piece of Florist foam, or Oasis. You just jab your cocktail sticks in and put your tank wheels and stuff on. As we see, the sanders, the ashtray, highly important, well for me anyway. ISM mug that I put most of my more used tools in. The pile of tools on the bench that I tend to use all the time. And oh, excuse the light coming in through the window, but there's all my washes, pigments, bloody blah. A bit darker over here. We have more random paints on the top, Citadel on the left, Tamiya on the right, Naked Lady, tapes and oil paints and God knows what, pick locks and lock picks, or padlocks and lock picks. Vallejo paint as far as the eye can see. Oh god, I have to move myself here. Right. Empty bottle of iron brew. And more pigments, paints, random bits and pieces, hairspray. All sorts of nastiness and randomness in there. Oh, that's where the fly spray went. And behind me, quick shot of the posters, because it wouldn't be a man cave without girly pics, is random bits, my general everyday tools. Then we work our way up to the stash. Right, spin back round this way because otherwise I'm going to get tangled up with things. And it is dragged considerably more into the way than it normally is, but underneath the box of kits I'm working on at the moment is an old pole fishing tackle box, seat box, with the attachment to hold a rod on, which moves up to a light and a camera mount, and it's all movable about and out of the way-ish. So there we have oh, let's put you back up there. Put the advert back in. So a not so quick tour of what I use. Bit of a waffle, random rant. I just felt like making a video, to be honest. It's absolutely throwing it down here today. And things I was going to do I can't do because of that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed seeing what I use and do. My little cave. Yes, it is not. Well, actually, this is kind of tidy, to be honest. But yeah. Anyway, enjoy your modelling. If you've seen anything or picked anything up, or got any questions, stick them in the doobly-doo below. Thumbs up, thumbs downs. If you're going to go thumbs down, at least please tell me why. Maybe there's something I can do about it. Yeah, as I say, check out Black 73 cat models, especially if you just want to laugh at someone stabbing themselves with a knife. We've all been there, we've all done it. Just most of us manage to not do it on camera. However, when I do my soldering one, I'll probably end up burning myself. If there's, say, any reviews of any kits you notice that I've got, you want to see, or any how I do's, if there's no, you see I've done something you don't quite know how to do it yourself, or can't figure it out, or think I might be doing it an easier way, or whatever, just let me know. Get in contact, either leave a comment on a video, because I do read them all and I try to reply to most, or no, find me on Facebook or ISM forum. But yeah, other than that, enjoy this shockingly bad weather. It's been raining for 24 hours now. Welcome to British summertime. Enjoy your modelling, have fun, and just chill out, dudes. Rock on. Bye bye.